Again, but just because he's X, that doesn't mean other people can't be X too. Because he has the ability to snap his fingers and warp reality. So just with that in mind, it's like a Where's Waldo situation where like he could be here, he could be there. That's what makes the show interesting. So you never get to see him for more than 2 frames, but everybody's like, oh my God, who is this guy? This guy, you know what I mean? Like they built this character up perfect. You don't get to see him, but he's snapping everybody into losses. And I think that he could be various people in the Ling Ling story. If this video gets a lot of likes, then I'll come and elaborate on it next time. I personally think that X is this character too. Listen, you can't say that it's out of the realm of reality because he can change and warp reality based upon the snap of his fingers, and we know the collective society can change it as well. So I think that X either is that character or takes the place of that character at some point to make sure that that character can again push that agenda and change the collective belief that instead of me needing to become a superhero by collective belief, the collective belief will be that I can be a superhero by my own belief. And that will in turn allow more people to be superheroes. He goes on to defy the power system more than one time, where everybody thinks in order to become powerful, you need the approval of everybody else. But he changes that. He represents the director and the audience in the most meta way possible, so none of this is out of the realm of possibility. I wanna pull up a quote from the actual director. You can say that the strength of X is reflected by the strength of the production team. That's a direct quote from the director. Like it says on the thumbnail, the show pretty much explains life to a T. A lot of the things that I talk about on my channel as it relates to government and its false control over humanity, money, and its false control over humanity, and of course social media. This show really does, I think, the best job that I've almost ever seen of bringing all those concepts together and describing exactly what's going on in society. And a lot of people are trying to figure out basically who the main character is. I know it sounds weird, I don't wanna go overboard right now, but I do wanna talk about all the places and all the people that I think the character X could be. There was a channel that talked about the best, what he thought, to be the best theories about what's going on in To Be Hero X or the secret to X's powers. And one of his first theories, which I instantly commented and said it was too meta, was he said that he thinks that the character X, his power comes from the people watching, the fans, the writers and directors. I don't know if he said specifically the writers or directors, but he was alluding to that X is like the most meta character of all time, that he represents kind of what the fans are seeing and wanting. And I thought that was way too meta, but after this last episode, I have to give him credit because he was 100% right. Before this last episode, I was already thinking that there was some time travel aspect to the show or some kind of parallel universe aspect going on. So I had a whole bunch of stuff written down that I was gonna come in and talk about, like, there's some kind of parallel universe or there's some kind of time travel thing going on. And then in the last episode, we realized just by getting like a one framed glimpse of X's powers that he basically is what he theorized it to be. Kumar Senpai. His very first theory is that the audience belief level, or more specifically what I'm narrowing in on, is the belief level or the will of the writers is what X's power represents in the show. And then I wanna read to you some of the stuff that the writers have said that kind of confirm what he's saying. Not just confirm what he's saying, but really what that confirms my theory.
Theory 1, the audience belief theory. This first theory, if it's correct, Hero X might be the most meta character in anime history. It claims that his trust value doesn't actually come from the people inside his world at all. It comes directly from us, the real-life audience watching the show. Here's how it would work. In-universe characters have to earn trust value by saving people, building reputations, and making the public believe in them. But Hero X's public isn't the citizens in his city. It's us. Our belief becomes his power. This explains why his most famous flex isn't defeating a villain, but snapping his fingers and changing the animation style from 2D to 3D. That's not just a special effect, it's him manipulating our screen.
Right.
Literally bending the medium we're watching him through. It's proof that his abilities operate on a level above the rules of his own fictional world. And it solves the biggest paradox: how a seemingly unknown man could start the series already ranked #1.
So initially, when I was trying to figure this problem out, I thought that there is some character in the future, one of the original X's, or even the character Zero, because we learn later that the character Zero is still alive. So my first idea was that X was either the character Zero or some other character that got to the end. He had developed the powers equivalent to a god, right? So essentially he can pause time and affect and warp reality. So this was all speculation up until episode 22. Everybody was like, well, we think X has the ability to manipulate and warp reality. And then we found out in episode 22, that's exactly what he has the ability to do. He can manipulate and warp reality just by the snap of his fingers. I was thinking that it was like a time travel thing, but it might even be more meta than that. So of course it's not confirmed yet. So I just want to explore all the different places where the actual character X might be in the show. Because allegedly he hasn't been in the show, but I think he's been in the show the entire time. I think that there are many characters that X is taking the place of, or even just inserting himself, again, because he has the ability to warp time and space himself. He can instantly change the way he looks and be any character at any time. So keeping that in mind, there are a lot of different clues that basically point us to the fact that this might be the actual X when he's affecting the storyline in very pivotal ways. I hope that makes sense.
Because before the first episode even aired, the trailers and promo art were drilling into our heads. This guy is unbeatable. That pre-release hype seeded our collective trust in him. So under this theory, Hero X's powers are essentially a loop. Our belief fuels him, and his victories reinforce our belief. As long as we keep trusting him to win, he will win, no matter what the in-universe odds say. Theory 2. The self-trust theory. Now maybe his power doesn't come from us. Maybe it doesn't come from anyone at all. This theory says Hero X completely bypassed the trust value system. He doesn't need anyone to believe in him because he believes in himself.
This is the theory that I think is pretty much not just 100% true. What I think is going on is, like I said, X could either literally be a representation of the writers and directors, or he could be one of the characters that got to the end of time and simply decided to go back in time and start changing things. I think specifically what he's changing is he's changing the trust value system. The power system in the universe is basically 100% congruent with social media. It is congruent with money value and government value as well, but it's literally designed exactly like social media. So people only believe that you can become a hero by getting the collective to believe in you as a hero. So like, unless you have a lot of followers, basically, you can't become a hero. That is basically what the power system of the show is. And you can see how that represents problems, right? Because it doesn't just give people their abilities, it literally defines their abilities down to whether or not they can speak. With characters like Ghostblade, he physically cannot speak and talk to his own daughter because the people decide what he can and can't do. So they don't just give them powers, they also make them slave to their powers. You know what I mean? So that's what I think X is personally trying to go back and change. And there's a lot of different clues that show, for example, the very first line of the entire show is a character who is basically describing what I'm saying now. He is a guy that writes commercials for the superheroes, and he wants the superheroes to start promoting that anybody can become a superhero. Naturally, he gets fired, and then right after he gets fired, he goes on the roof, and we have no idea why he's going on the roof. While he's on the roof, we get to see one of the greatest, in my opinion, damn near one of the greatest scenes in anime history, where the character that has been built up already to be the main character, we see him come down in fantastic fashion, give the character that I'm talking about the thumbs up, and then just jump off the building. And he can fly, so you can assume what I'm saying. He gives him the thumbs up, a smile, and jumps off the building. That character goes on to replace that character that just jumped off the building, to the point where, because people believe that he's him, he even starts to look like him. So not only does the main character X have the ability to change reality and stop time and space, everybody's belief level together has the ability to change time and space and change what people even look like down to their hair color and eye color based upon what they believe. I mean, if this video gets a lot of likes, then maybe I'll elaborate on it further, but you can see how that is almost 100% congruent to what is going on today, where people don't really believe in their own ability as a human being. They only believe in you if you have a lot of money or if you have a lot of followers. But in the story, X, he is basically changing all of these different points in time to change the power system itself. So that way the superheroes that are in the top 10, they're not in the top 10 because the powers that be made them get there. They're in the top 10 because of their own personal will and drive. You know, if there's anything that I missed where you think, no, I think this is going on, please let me know, because to me, it represents exactly what's going on in society, where people aren't focused on developing their own drive and their own belief. They're focusing on getting a lot of followers or doing whatever it is the masses want from them. And so not only can that empower them, but it can pigeonhole them. Like I said, the very first line of the show, I think that the character Ling is actually X. There's a lot of things that point to that Again, but just because he's X, that doesn't mean other people can't be X too. Because he has the ability to snap his fingers and warp reality. So just with that in mind, it's like a Where's Waldo situation where like he could be here, he could be there. That's what makes the show interesting. And like I said, I think that the very first character we see on screen is X. He goes on to defy the power system more than one time, right? Where everybody thinks in order to become powerful, you need the approval of everybody else. But he changes that. So they go through Lin Ling's story, and I think that he could be various people in the Lin Ling story. If this video gets a lot of likes, then I'll come and elaborate on it next time, right? I think he could be various people, but mainly the Lin Ling character, because number one, see, this is the real X. This is the first time we get to see the real X right here. That's him. That's his real self when he's not in superhero mode. Lin Ling looks like a younger version of this. That's what I'm saying. With all the character choices you could make, why would the artist and director choose to make the very first character that we see on screen, who is basically pushing X's agenda, which we get to find out later, basically look and act, like I said, we don't know exactly what's going on, whether or not whether it's a parallel reality or whether X is going through and changing the past so that way when Nice, who is eventually going to give the thumbs up and jump off the building because of what happens later in the show, when that happens, like what are the chances that Lin Ling is right there exactly at the time he needs to be to take his place? So he's right there exactly what he needs to be to take his place, just so he could be the one to show people that, hey, you don't have to be a popular person or you don't have to be whatever you think you need to be in order to become a hero. All you need is drive, and in his case, he needed love. Love is what inspired him to become that superhero. And then there's a second arc that basically starts with a whole new character. So you have to basically get your mind prepared for that, which at first it's upsetting, but once you understand what's going on in the show, I'm trying to tell you, it's one of the most interesting shows I've ever seen. Then the second arc, it starts off with like a boy going through a Batman story. He sees both of his parents get offed right in front of him. So I personally think that X is this character too. Listen, you can't say that it's out of the realm of reality because he can change and warp reality, changes his hair and everything based upon the snap of his fingers, and we know the collective society can change it as well. So I think that X either is that character or takes the place of that character at some point to make sure that that character can again push that agenda. The agenda that you don't need to be a popular person or to have a lot of money or to be sponsored by one of the higher ups, right? The government officials, in order to be successful, in order to be a superhero. After the kid basically has his parents get offed, the superhero that saves him is a superhero that works directly for Rock. So you can assume that if the superhero was there right at the time to save that kid, Rock probably sent him there, and you get more proof of that because the very next scene, who is the kid talking to? He's talking to Rock. It's like Rock is literally shaping his life, trying to make him a superhero. So he's like the government puppeteering, his next superstar or whatever. I don't have time to go into it right now, but again, if this video gets a lot of likes, if you guys comment and say you want me to elaborate on it, in every single arc, I believe that there's at least 5 to 7 different people that are very inconspicuously important to the story that you could 100% draw a conclusion that this person is X. Like there are characters who specifically had the ability to now make it known and change the collective belief that instead of me needing to become a superhero by collective belief, the collective belief will be that I can be a superhero by my own belief. And that will in turn allow more people to be superheroes, and the superhero business will be less regulated. So like I said, he could have got to the end of time and recognized like, oh, if this person would have made it, and so he just basically inserted himself here, and I think he did that with the Lucky Cyan story, right? There's at least 4 different people on the plane that look exactly like him. You think they would do that on accident? There's 4 different people on the plane pretty much that have this exact build, hair and everything, and that resulted in Lucky Cyan living. And you could tell that there was a concerted effort to try to stomp out her because her music was going to inspire anyways. I don't want to go too deep into it. This is like a little piece of proof to back that up. So when we finally see X on the screen, and he's beating people in the tournament, all he does is snap his fingers and he beats everybody. So you never get to see him for more than 2 frames, but everybody's like, oh my God, who is this guy? This guy's, you know what I mean? Like, they built this character up perfect. You don't get to see him, but he's snapping everybody into losses. And Queen, who is another character that I'm either suspecting is related to him, like he might be like Queen's grandfather or something, because Queen has the power to manipulate reality. She has the power to basically set a barrier, and inside her barrier, she sets the rules. She could have been in the future and got strong enough to set the barrier, and then she could have went back in time and started changing stuff. I'm just saying there's a lot of options there. And so my little piece of proof for the first 2 instances that I brought up is when he comes and he beats Queen and they finally get his superhero profile, there's only 2 people that they have proof of him interacting with. The 2 people that he interacted with is they said that he has an association to Rock. And Rock is the guy that I said was grooming the new Esau. So again, I think that X either switched places with the new Esau or was somewhere around the new Esau empowering him so that way he can overcome Rock trying to stomp him out. I think more likely is that he switched places because they look exactly alike. The new Esau looks like a younger version of this guy right here. So that's what I'm saying. I'm like, why he wouldn't do that on accident? So I believe that he is the new Esau who had a relationship with Rock, and that's reflected on his hero card. And then they said that they only have proof of him having 1 fight. And the person that he had a fight with is Rek. And the only person we see fight Rek is Lin Ling after he takes the place of Nice. On the Real Hero X's hero record, he only has 1 fight, and that fight is against the same person that I am suggesting that he went back in time to replace, or went to an alternate reality to replace, or, like I said, he represents the director and the audience in the most meta way possible, so none of this is out of the realm of possibility. I want to pull up a quote from the actual director. I promise you, this is a quote from the director. He said, "On the other side, X is a character that is created from working backward because our team specialized in incorporating 3D and 2D. When was thinking about what kind of work could maximize our strength, I thought, wouldn't it be interesting to have a hero who can travel between 3D and 2D world? Therefore, I gave X this ability. You can say that the strength of X is reflected by the strength of the production team." That's a direct quote from the director. The director, I think, is looking at the power system of the trust value system, which represents government, represents money. That's why X is constantly playing with money, right? And more importantly, represents the social media age, where if you don't have a lot of followers, people don't believe in you. The writers are saying, this is what's wrong in society. So how would I change it? The very first 2 arcs are showing you how X or these 2 characters that I suspect to be X are specifically changing the trust value system so people start believing in themselves. And that's why I named the video, This Anime Explains Life, to a T, you know what I mean, when it comes to social media and how people are reacting to it and how we allow it to empower us, but then we allow it to enslave us at the same time. Same thing with money, same thing with government power, like, you know, almost directly. This show outlines it, and not only does it outline it, but it's showing you exactly how to change it. That's right, the character X is showing you how to change society for the better. Instead of people becoming heroes from government interference or from a bunch of money, we need to highlight the fact that people become powerful and become heroic by finding that inner drive, by doing the thing that really drives them, that is important to them, not by appeasing society. And then we find out that the hero Zero, right, the one that they allegedly got rid of, he's still alive. X could be Zero. Think about it, he represents the audience, like this guy said, and then as soon as he feels like something needs to be changed, he just changes it like that. That is a strong possibility where maybe he's not those characters that I think he is, but he's definitely somebody somewhere watching, waiting to see what he needs to change, and then he changes it so that way he can adjust the power system of the world altogether, which is a metaphor for basically fixing society the way it is today, where we lean too much on the opinions of others, where we lean too much on the power of government, we lean too much on what we think money is worth. Comment on this video, let me know what you think is going on in the show. Obviously, like, we all don't know yet. The most disrespectful moment in anime history. I don't even have to go out on a limb and say this. This is the most disrespectful moment in anime history. Dragon Boy, he calls other people garbage and trash because that's what he used to be called. Imagine calling somebody trash, right, when you're fighting them. Now imagine turning somebody into a piece of trash. Can you even fathom that? When you think it's about to be a good fight, no, it's not a good fight. He snaps his fingers, he grabs him, he becomes a 2D piece of paper, and he balls him up into a piece of trash and throws him into the water. Do you understand what I'm saying? The most disrespectful moment in TV history. Nobody has ever made somebody trash in the middle of a fight. The only thing that competes with it is Space Jam. Remember in Space Jam when they balled Michael Jordan up into a basketball? And they start playing hoop. They was hooping with Jordan, and Duncan Jordan balled him into a ball. Yeah, that's right. That's literally what happens at the end of this anime. I already suspected something like this. I didn't know it was gonna be to this extent though, where he's just grabbing and turned him into a piece of paper and balled him up into a piece. That's crazy. How did they even come up with that? Look. Look. A piece of trash. Did you see that? Oh my God. I never even seen anything like that. I love you guys. Like the video, please, and subscribe, and I will do more content on this because I love this show.